Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are a new subscriber to me, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you are a returning subscriber, you are highly treasured. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all your likes, all your comments, and of course, if you feel so inclined, send me an email. Let me know if you are interested in a personal reading, and we can arrange that for you. So I wanted to do a reading today based on shadow aspect of you or your person. So there are going to be 3 piles here, so you will find either your shadow within one of these piles, or that was my cat, or you will find your person's shadow within one of these 3 piles. If none of it resonates, of course, you can jump around from pile to pile if you are ready to dive into your own shadow. If it is triggering or not something you want to hear, then please go to another video. I will do my best to relay the energy from spirit and communicate what it is I see in the cards. So for the first pile, we have the orange flowers. Second pile, we have the brass hoops. So we've got 2 brass hoops. And then for the third pile, we have the 2 iridescent marbles. So take a look at these 3 piles. We will be taking a look at the shadow aspect of either you or your person, and we'll get into it right away. All right, so hi pile 1, we will start with your pile. I'm just going to move pile number 2 and 3 aside, and we will get started with the 2 flowers. Pile number 1. All right, so just gonna lay this out. As such, and then we'll save the tarot for the end. All right. Ooh, so we have the crocodile coming out right off the hop. So if you skip the intro, pile number 1, we will be taking a look at the shadow aspect of either you or your partner in this connection. So if this sounds more like you, this will be your shadow aspect. If this sounds like your partner, then certainly is about your partner. There's 2 other piles. If you want to go check back and see if maybe you could find yourself or your partner in either of those other 2 piles, let me know how this worked. I am curious to see. Of course, there's many different shadow aspects, but as we know, this is a timeless reading, and you were obviously drawn to this video and this pile to take a look at the message that Spirit is guiding me to share with you. So the crocodile card here speaks of, somebody who is, who comes out kind of in an aggressive manner when they need to, when they're protecting or guarding themselves. So a lot of times the crocodile, is kind of below the surface layer, kind of just resting and waiting to get maybe vicious or aggressive. Now I see that trait kind of coming out in this individual when they are upset or stewing about something. So they will stew, and then when something triggers them, they kind of go, all out and snap and maybe say some things they don't mean, or hurt some feelings. So the crocodile, I'm also picking up, is somebody who's very wise. They really know why other people are acting the way they're acting around them. They can kind of call out bullshit. So this is why if they feel you're slighting them, they will protect them, their friends, their family. So they are very, guarded, but defensive as well. So they're also the type of person that you can't really make friends with easily because they are sort of guarded. So these types of people with the shadow aspect would probably say that they don't have very many friends, but they do have, their solid core group of friends that have been with them since, they were really young. And then other people just find it very hard to kind of pierce through and understand this individual. So that's what I see with the crocodile. Now we have here the tear. So this is from the Archetype deck. And the tear here speaks of this person, when they go inward, they get very deep within themselves. They also are very, very hard on themselves. They like to do that often. So I take it this person has a very good, balanced perception of who they are and how they are. And there isn't really a lot hidden from them when it comes to understanding themselves and who they are as a person. They like to go through and examine, you know, maybe if they said something that they shouldn't have said, or they acted in a certain way, or they're doing something that they feel isn't right. They like to kind of play devil's advocate within themselves and really kind of ask themselves these questions. So to keep themselves real, because they are in tune with other people and seeing through bullshit and keeping it real, keeping it genuine, keeping it true. So sometimes it could be quite gloomy, especially if they are in a situation where something happens that is really, that they didn't expect. So they really have to, you know, turn inwards to go over every fine detail, feel the pain again, kind of go over what was said, you know, kind of, they'll sit in silence a lot. I take it that this person usually only sits in silence when they're either angry about something and stewing and they're probably about to snap, or they are feeling really bad about a behavior of something that they did and they're reflecting on it. Yeah. They're also very careful with, well, I said who they let in, but because you have, like, you know, the eye, the crocodile here, the green, the yellow, the green, the yellow, I feel like if they focus in on someone, you know, even if they're a new person in their life, if they focus in on somebody, they automatically kind of feel a kindred spirit with them, and they automatically feel as though they know them, and they just kind of allow them into their circle. And it, you know, there's only some individuals that they will feel this connection with, but it's very select few. But they can kind of read people so well that someone might not even have to spend a whole lot of time with them, but then this crocodile person just knows that what that other person is about, and that they're able to connect on that level. They also feel like if people are just being their genuine selves, they'll be open, but they sense that if somebody's being ingenuine and asking them like a lot of questions, they kind of get very suspicious. So they could be suspicious that somebody wants something of them, or, you know, why they'll kind of look at them with a critical eye, like, why are you asking all this? What do you want from me? You know, is there like a one-sided reason that you're kind of approaching me or wanting to know about me? So yeah. So for this crocodile person, we have Queen come out, and the Queen's light attributes is radiates the regal feminine, uses her benevolent authority to protect others, and then the shadow attributes becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling and demanding. So certainly I was getting kind of this diva-ish type personality that comes out, but it's mostly they use it as a protective mechanism, but they do command a lot of respect from people, so they are just used to kind of saying what it is that's on their mind, and most people just kind of listen to them. So they could get in this mode where they are a little bit controlling and wanting their own way, or else they kind of sulk about it in subtle ways. But usually, because they have such good introspective way about looking at their own shadow, they usually catch themselves doing this, but they can get quite controlling, and they don't like other people kind of telling them what to do just for the sake of it. but they are very protective, like I mentioned. So if, you know, they feel as though one of their friends is getting used, or they feel like their friend has an injustice done to them, they will be first to kind of stand up and protect their friends. So I have wars and battles. So certainly, you know, crocodile, old soul, you know, they're very tough skin. I feel with the wars and battles, just this person they're not scared of asserting themselves when they have to. They've been around a lot of confrontations and a lot of challenges where they had to stand their ground. So this is something that they're used to. They don't shy away from confrontation. You know, they usually like to resolve things before it gets confrontational, but they're very, you know, genuine with their feelings. They don't let things kind of get to the point where they know they're gonna be sulking and then having to kind of snap, because they don't like that side of them. I think one thing they don't realize is that when they are just the normal crocodile and not sulking, sometimes they tend to still come off as they're being too aggressive to some people who might not be as assertive as they are, and they're just being their genuine self. So it's kind of hurtful because that person in turn will start acting in a certain way, and then the crocodile just picks up that this person is not being their genuine, authentic self, because maybe that other person is shut down or maybe is a little guarded. So the crocodile can sniff out that that person is just not being their full self. But others might just find the crocodile a little bit hard to approach because they don't know, with the tough exterior and how the crocodile person just is really out there, that what sort of mood the crocodile is going to be in, especially people who don't really understand or know the crocodile. Okay, so we have Maynard. All right, so madness, ecstatic ritual, energy release. I'm just trying to pick up, like, from this card, I just get like the energy of the crocodile, where the crocodile again is kind of observing, you know, the girl's hiding in the leaves, so the crocodile's kind of waiting to let out this energy release. So sometimes they do find it thrilling to lash out if they're holding on to a lot of anger or energy where they just, you know, want to let it all out. So they could be like going mad about something and then all of a sudden, you know, let it out and just feel so much better, but then later on do that reflection and feel bad. But they do get in bouts where they just feel like it gives them the control that they need. When they're feeling like their life might be slipping out of control, they might get more vocal, more snappy, more angry, let out their energy release on maybe the innocent bystander that might be, you know, just innocently doing something that's irritating to the crocodile. So we have the Knight of Wands, and we have the Three of Pentacles, and we have the Page of Cups. So this person, sensing, is most likely a fire sign, or at least they're very inspirational. They're very inspired to really move forward with a lot of their creativity and a lot of their ideas. You know, so Aries, Leo. I'm also picking up that this individual might pick up a lot of hobbies, or might pick up a lot of passions and spend a lot of time kind of getting it just right, and a lot of time collaborating on it, and you know, that's how they kind of let out their passion. But they have so many different hobbies and passions that kind of keep them going, that they're kind of a little bit they're kind of a little bit all over the place, but they are very focused when they're on to something that they're feeling connected to. They put a lot of their effort and their energy into it, but they can easily just then get on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But they are very proud of their own creation. They do put in a lot of effort and extend a lot of energy into what they're into, even if they don't really know a whole lot about it. They also have a very compassionate side that not a lot of people see, where they let their true feelings out without the guarded crocodile skin, where they can be open about, you know, their deep down feelings. And I take it maybe there's only like 2 or 3 people in this crocodile's life that have really seen that side of them. So even though they are genuine to themselves and they don't really shy away from feelings, they just don't let anything really pierce them at that deep level of feeling, because they have been around the block and they have been in a lot of wars and battles and a lot of confrontations, that they're just kind of scarred upon scarred upon scarred, that they've already flushed out a lot of their energy, but they also don't feel at a very deep soul level unless it's with somebody who's also feeling at a very deep soul level. Then they're able to show their true emotional self and share feelings, which is very satisfying to the crocodile person, because they don't really have a lot of those types of people that they can be sharing that with. But yeah, so I'm going to pull some keywords that may resonate with your person or yourself, just to kind of validate whether this is the individual that you're thinking it is. This crocodile person sounds a lot like me. Maybe. We'll see. Jury's still out. Still have more shadows to see. All right, so we have sister, we have friends, and we have candles. So I do feel like, you know, anyone who's a true friend to this crocodile is going to be the crocodile's sister or brother, because they have just only true friends or nothing, really. Candles might be big. Maybe they like to collect candles or have a lot of candles. I also see candles as wands, you know, fire energy from this crocodile, that there's always a flame within them. Like everyone always feels really like they could feel that drive and that flame from this crocodile person, because they always have this light or this energy about them, that they're just really lit, right? So yeah, only the strong people can really be friends with this crocodile. They're not for weak soul type people or people who are thin-skinned. They probably shy away from this crocodile type person. All right, everyone who stuck around with this one, I'd like to thank you so much for allowing me to pick up the energy that I was feeling today. And you can stick around, see the other 2 piles, see if your person or yourself is in any of the other 2 piles. And I really appreciate everything. Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. This is for pile 2. And if you skip the intro, today we will be picking up the energy of either yours or your person's shadow aspects, so their shadow side, maybe something that is known to you, but maybe you don't know how deep your shadow goes, or your person's shadow and how it comes out when you get to know your individual a little bit better. So pile 2 are these 2 brass rings, and we will get into the shadow aspect of this individual. If this isn't resonating with you, please check out pile 1 or pile 3, and we'll save the tarot for the end. Okay, so for pile number 2, we have the octopus. And the octopus personality, say that really fast 3 times, is one, obviously, of intelligence, right? Octopus, probably the smartest thing around town. So very intelligent, because they can use a lot of angles to think things through. So they do, question their own thoughts, and they do play devil's advocate with a lot of stuff, but they see a lot of different angles that maybe other people have not. The octopus person tends to be someone who might have a lot of codependencies. They might get very attached to people, because they do, once they connect with an individual, they find it very hard to kind of let them go. They like people who are creative, but who also challenge them mentally. I also feel like this octopus person, if you hurt them, they kind of don't really take it to heart. They kind of just, like grow another limb, so to speak. They kind of just say, okay, well, it's, like water off a duck's back, or just like let bygones be bygones. They kind of don't really take things personal. They're very easy to talk to, but then they might become codependent or clingy in certain individuals who may try to understand the octopus, and the octopus might just get very entrenched in that connection or relationship. I find like the octopus probably also has an unspoken connection with a lot of people. Like they could be just around people and read the room very well. They'll know if somebody's feeling, upset, or if it's socially, if the social tone has changed of a room or whatever. They can usually pick up the unspoken vibes going on in, when there's a social setting with other individuals, or just even if they're with their friend, they can kind of tell or read the other individual very well. They also get very emotional, because a lot of them might be empaths. So if they feel like someone else is upset or someone else is emotional, they'll pick up that same emotion just from hanging out with them. So if they're around someone with a bad day, then they start to kind of pick up that energy very easily. So we have the animal card here, which I think really speaks to this octopus feeling as though they're really confined in their life. They feel as though maybe they haven't been as wild or free as they would care to be. They also feel as though they're kind of weighed down or held back because they are so deep with their emotions, because they have a lot of thoughts coming at them, because they feel they, like they always say that, I guess, a lot of intelligent people, when you're so smart, that you kind of start to get a little bit depressed. That's kind of the energy I'm picking up with the octopus person. It's like they just kind of get so depressed, they sometimes don't go after experiences or after certain things, because they feel as though, kind of what's the point? They kind of live it out in their head before they go and do something, and sometimes they give up before they've even gotten started. I feel like a lot of times they do regret, not doing things. So, because let's say if there's an instance where they can be sporadic, or where they can, make a decision quickly, and they turn it down, they do go back and kind of regret or reflect on feeling bad for not being sporadic, or not making decisions, to just kind of, have their animal instinct, I guess, and act upon things without so much thought. They want to be a little bit more carefree. They kind of want to break away from their thoughts a lot because a lot of times their brain is just constantly going on and on and on, and they can't really shut it out. But this octopus person, they're generally really happy and usually always in a good mood, unless of course they're around someone who's not and picking up that. But it's usually on the surface. Inside, they're, you know, they're very tender. They're usually feeling bad about something that either has happened to somebody else, or that's happened to them, or that happened in the day, and it's kind of inside them, but they try to just have the outer appearance that they're fine. So you have guide here for the archetype. The light attribute says represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. Shadow attribute places financial gain and control over imparting spiritual insight. So I find with the octopus, just this guide, like they do feel as though they really want the best for other individuals. They really feel like when they give them guidance or advice that they're really coming from a very good place. So they want to, you know, because they are so smart, they want to give people the best advice, but then it also can turn into, why didn't you do it? Like if they give you advice, then all of a sudden they're like, you know, well, that's kind of dumb that you didn't do that. I already told you, right? So instead of just kind of giving advice freely and say whether you do or don't, that's kind of up to you. They kind of take on this control of wanting what the other person, how the other person reacts in that situation, and they might kind of lose sight of it's not their problem, it's the other person's problem that they were kind of sharing with them, because they do feel very much responsible for the individual that they're talking to. They are somebody that a lot of people go to just for advice in general, because they are very intelligent, because they usually give very good advice, and that's why they get so angry, because they know if they're giving really wise advice and somebody doesn't follow it, then they're kind of like, well, that's stupid. You know, they wouldn't call you stupid. They probably would just be like, that wasn't very wise. But then you can see in their actions, they won't let it go, or they'll keep going on about it. So, you know, it's obviously upset them in some sort of way. I find that the octopus person is so careful what they kind of, how they put words out, because they don't want to hurt people's feelings, and they don't like confrontation, and they wouldn't really, if they see like an argument or two people kind of going at it, they don't really jump in there. They kind of just, if it is with somebody that they don't want, they kind of just pull them out of the situation, and then kind of like to give them one-on-one guidance or listen to them, but they would never like to be in a confrontational situation. And if they are, they kind of freeze, or at least they don't really know what to say. Nothing really comes out. So we have leaving or travel here for octopus. This is from the past life oracle. I just feel like the octopus person has been through a lot of situations and circumstances in their life that that's why they're kind of clingy when they have a good thing going. They don't want to be bounced around, but they're so used to just, you know, people leaving, them leaving, coming and going in their lives. So if they do find a person that they get along with or they connect with, they really want to hang on to that person. They might even be, you know, scared of that person just having their own time to go do what it is that they need to do, because they fear that they'll be left alone, and they just would rather be around someone. Eternal youth, energy, newness, and vitality. So yes, when you're around the octopus person, You do have this energy about them, kind of like this youthfulness. You know, they're generally very, very happy. Just a newness, a vitality about them and how they see things, their perspective, their insight, how intelligent they are, how they respect everyone around them, how even if they're frustrated, they remain fairly calm. They don't really make other people feel threatened at all, even though they do wish they had this more of a animal type drive or fiery type side that they could let out. And they kind of admire people who have that because they wish they could be more like that as well. So we're going to read the tarot. So we have the Three of Cups, the Moon, and the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, I was picking this up from this octopus person. Like the Moon speaks of, this is really deep, a very deep emotion. You know, that only the octopus would feel because they're so intelligent, that it then turns into this dark energy, even though they're not a dark energy to be around because they are very youthful. They have this vitality and this persona on the outside, but they are very deep. They can feel very deeply. They get the unspoken. They just see things differently. They can read emotions. Like I said, they're most likely empaths, so they can read the emotions in a room where they're seeing all this, the hidden stuff that nobody's really aware of when it comes to how someone else is feeling. They also very fun to be around. They're very jovial. They like to have a good time. They like to keep things light. They don't like to keep things heavy. So they want to be able to, you know, enjoy a celebration, have good friends around, a lot of people. They like social gatherings, but they do feel at times like, even though they might have all these people around, because of their deep understanding of what others might be feeling and their need to want to be more animal-like, they'll always kind of feel like this Five of Pentacles, which is they're not at their fullest enjoyment. Like they're still kind of left out, like they're witnessing a party going on and they're kind of sitting on the sidelines. Even though they're involved, they just don't feel like they're letting their true self get involved, because everything is kind of kept superficial. Not that they are superficial, because they can get very deep with another, but just in social settings, they just always kind of feel like the outsider, or they're not really in it. They're more observing from a more intellectual perspective, even though they're the least judgmental person, but they are very intelligent, so they are able to identify, you know, ridiculousness in people and then just kind of feel like they're just witnessing it rather than be confrontational about it. And that's why they kind of feel like sometimes they're just, instead of battling or having that discussion, they're just kind of witnessing, you know, people gathering. But on a one-on-one, they are very, like I use the word codependent, but they are very clingy. They want to hang on to the good people. They don't want people to be individual from them. They kind of want them to be on the same mental level with them and around them, so that they can feel that deep sense of connection that they feel is missing when they are in social settings. But yeah, this is what I see for this person. I'm going to pull some keywords to see if this kind of resonates for some of you guys with you or your person's shadow side. So we have judgment. So yes, this person does sit in judgment. Like I said, usually they don't outright, you know, call someone out, but if they give advice, they do like to kind of pass their judgment and saying, this is probably the best thing you should do. Why didn't you do that? They're always kind of judging situations because they can see many angles of it, even though they're not really too judgmental about people. I don't even find that they're very judgmental about themselves. They're kind of very forgiving. They let bygones be bygones. Radical. So I sense here radical people probably off-put this octopus, mostly because they want to be radical, they want to be this wild, sporadic type animal deep down inside. That when they do see a radical type personality that's kind of out there, it kind of makes them freeze because they're not quite sure how to handle them or be around them, even though they enjoy them. They just enjoy watching them and how they operate, but they themselves aren't too radical. West. So could possibly be they like to travel out west. Maybe they were born out west. Maybe they like the Western Hemisphere. They like the ocean there. Maybe there's more you guys can see with that. But yeah, so this is what I'm seeing with pile number 2. And thank you so much, guys. This concludes this reading. If this resonated, just give me a like, let me know. We will be moving on to pile number 3 shortly. So thank you so much and see you guys again. Hi, pile number 3. Went to go look for my marbles and I thought I lost my marbles, but I found my marbles. If you pick pile number 3, you are these iridescent glass marbles. All right, so I'm going to put them somewhere where I don't lose my marbles. If you skipped the intro, we will be taking a look at the shadow aspect of either yourself or your person. So you might hear some attributes that might sound like your personality, and if it does, you can stick around and maybe learn something, or you can go to another pile. But if it does sound like your person, then chances are we're picking up your person, and you'll probably be in another pile. So because this is only 3 piles, clearly there's many different types of personalities, but I'm curious to see how much of yourself is in this reading and how much you can find your person in another pile, because this is a collective reading, but you were meant to find me today and click on this timeless reading. So without further ado, we will start with pile number 3's shadow side of either themselves or their person. So we have hyena for the first card. So with the hyena, I'm picking up an individual who has taken a long time to get comfortable in their own skin. And once the hyena type person is comfortable in their own skin, they're the type of person that anyone and everyone can totally get along with. But for the hyenas who haven't really fully hyena'd, they're still getting to know themselves. They're kind of a little bit awkward. They kind of don't, they have restless energy. They don't quite know how to be themselves, because they're still kind of learning about themselves. They like have a side to them when they're in public that is either awkward, socially awkward, or just kind of not comfortable around people. Even I'm hearing from spirit that they have maybe a fake laugh that they do because they're uncomfortable. That's funny. I'm just picking up this energy from a person who's so polar opposite to me. So it's very interesting. That's the only word I know how to say. I really like this hyena person because I find that they make their mind up pretty quickly in a circumstance, what they like and what they don't like. They're able to tell and sniff out people they like and that they don't like. And I'm also picking up that they're kind of the type of person who gets really excited and excitable about certain things, and then their true self kind of comes out. Like they like to chat about a topic that might be important to them and just keep going on and on about it, because that excites them. I also feel like they're more creative at night, that they enjoy night activities, or nightlife, or when the lights are out and attention's not on them. They do not like the attention on them at all. Kind of makes them very awkward. They like to be kind of blended as part of a group, so they'll like to go out with multiple people. Like they won't just go like them and one other person. Usually it's like a group of people. They're kind of very quiet and reserved. And usually if you're really good friends with them, you'll notice you'll have to kind of probe a little bit to see how they're feeling. You'll have to ask them. They won't just come right out and say it. But if they trust you, then they will just kind of tell you. But it's almost like they even neglect to maybe speak their mind. They kind of are easygoing, go with the flow, do what everyone else wants to do and kind of be easy like that. But they do feel very socially awkward in situations where there's new people. So even if there's a group of 5 people they know, but then there's this one new person, they kind of get different or shut them down until they understand that that person is a safe person for them to be able to be themselves. That was an interesting hyena. Okay, so we have the Destroyer here from the Archetype deck. Yeah, wow. Okay, so I'm feeling this hyena person is really different with their family. So if you are on the level that you really understand this hyena and they have a few friends that they consider family, but not a lot of people see this, but the family side, they can be really, really vicious and really stuck in their ways. They get very fixed. So they have fixed ideas or a fixed way, stubborn. Sometimes they can just go completely quiet right before they unleash their anger, or they don't have to say anything. They're the type of person, if they're angry, they just kind of give you that look. And you'll know the look if you know this hyena type person. Actually, they have a lot of looks. The look they give you when they're about to get angry about something or are angry about something, the look they have on their face when they're uncomfortable, the look they have when they're kind of not present. I find they're not really present a lot of times because they're maybe just going inwards, but people have to kind of poke them and remind them, hey, how are you feeling? Hey, what do you think about this? And get them involved. They're kind of really like their own topics. Like I mentioned, if they get into something that they're into, then they kind of just really absorb themselves in that, and that's usually where their mind's at. So if they are out doing something else, or probably thinking about something else that enjoys them, so their mind's kind of not really present a lot of times. And even when they are present, I find is little kind of, it's very in and out. It's very short bursts of how they're feeling. They say what's on their mind and then they're back to their usual self. They are very focused, but they can only focus on things that matter to them. I wouldn't be surprised if this hyena person had a hard time focusing in school or focusing on other things, or if people are talking to them about topics they're not interested in, they're just like, oh yeah, okay. Kind of sit there in silence and then try to like not pay attention so they could go do something else. Okay, so for this archetype, we got Rebel. So the light attribute challenges authority to affect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Shadow attributes rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. So what I'm really picking up with this Rebel card is this hyena type personality is so true to themselves that even just being around other individuals where they need to be something else, they're like, no, they're just, it makes them uncomfortable, right? So with their family, their truest self comes out, but anywhere else where they need to be different, they won't. And that speaks to their rebel type personality. It's like, oh no, I just refuse to do that. And they'll just continue doing what it is that they do. And it doesn't matter who you are. Once they've kind of made up their mind, they're just, yeah, no. They just reject that type of a person if they just pick something up that they're not liking in that individual, maybe how they talk, maybe if they do something that the hyena is uncomfortable with, they just kind of write them off. So they can easily write people off. And they don't realize, but yeah, they can kind of sway towards being offensive to some people if they get it in their head that they are trying to give a good example. Like, for example, if they have a topic they know a lot about, and there's a group of individuals that might be offended by this topic, the hyena just doesn't give a crap and just go on, and everyone's like, okay, like, we can socially pick up that maybe this is not the best time, but the hyena will just keep going on about it, kind of almost unaware. But I think the hyena just doesn't care. Like, they're aware, they're just like, I don't really care that you don't like this topic. I'm gonna keep going on about this topic, and say how I feel, right? So yeah, they can kind of rebel that way. They don't really like people trying to control them. I mean, who likes to be controlled? But tell them what to do, because they're very free-spirited. They want to do what it is that they do, what they've already known to be tried, tested, and true. Especially when the hyena is comfortable in their skin. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of hyena personalities that aren't quite there yet, but once they are, it's like, no, they know what they like, they know what they don't like. They don't like people controlling them. They want to just do their own thing. They want to talk about the topics they like about, even if it's socially awkward. They don't really care. Yeah, there's like this dual type thing happening with this hyena. I also pick, like, they have this dark side where they kind of get into their own little world that a lot of people can't get in there, because they're just shutting the world out where they're comfortable, where nobody is. Because if they let people in, they just feel like other individuals just don't get it. They just can't be in that world with them. It's kind of like their own little world. Okay, so we got father. So a lot of these hyena type people probably have, or have had a difficult relationship with their father figure. Maybe the father was really strict on the hyena and always kind of told them what to do, how to be, that how they were being was not right, or how they were thinking was not right, or, or kind of the authority figure. And the hyena just kind of rebelled. And I have a feeling that the father and the hyena still probably aren't on good terms. And I find that the hyena probably still hasn't forgiven the father for maybe what things might have happened between the father and the mother. So especially if the father and the mother are kind of split, I find the hyena is probably just guarding one side, and not really fully mended with the father, or at least, at a certain point in time. Maybe it was difficult, but for the hyenas that have made up with their father figures, are kind of more peaceful hyena. But I just pick up the hyena energy as like still a teenager type energy. Awkward, but likes to have fun, still learning about different things that they care about. All right. So faith, so trust, unwavering confidence. Yes. So this hyena, I was gonna say, I was picking up that they do have this, if they are religious, that they have a very unwavering type way of being, that they are very true, and it's almost like nobody can convince them otherwise. So it's just, they know what they know, and that's it, and there's no changing their mind. And if anyone tries, they kind of get defensive about it. It's like they just kind of know. So I do feel a lot of them are like that, even with things that they believe to be true. Doesn't have to necessarily be faith, but if they, feel strongly about a topic, then that's it. They're kind of stubborn, or it's hard for them to change their mind once they've already made their mind or have researched what it is that they're right into and they know a lot about it. So you can't really change their mind about somebody who knows so much about it. So I feel like they could really almost even write a book about a lot of different topics because they are so into a certain topic, but to the minute detail that they know every single thing about it, that other people would probably find boring, but they're just committed to that. So if that topic comes up, it's like they don't want to show off and keep going on and on about a topic, but it's more so they get very excited about how much they know to themselves, and they just really like to discuss and bring forward all the information that they know so other people are aware of what it is that they know, even if the other person isn't really even wanting to be aware of it. They'll be aware of it after the hyena starts talking. All right, so we have the 10 of Wands, we have the 6 of Swords, and we have the Knight of Cups. Oh wow, okay, so this hyena always feels like they're carrying a lot of baggage. Other people just being people is very heavy on them. They don't really like to be around it. That's why they're so awkward. Like everyone else is kind of like almost like a chore. Just having to do people's stuff is kind of heavy on them. They just kind of just want to do their thing. They don't want to have to, do all these things that other people kind of like plans and all these details. Are kind of not very good with that. It's like it's very burdensome for them to just like, yeah, just tell me where, I'll just show up. But they don't really get involved with any of the planning or they just find it very burdensome to plan any of that type of stuff. They don't find interest in it at all. They also are not really liking confrontation, especially when it comes to people that they don't know, that they would choose just to leave. So if there is something that becomes confrontational with someone the hyena isn't familiar with, they'll just leave. That's their answer. I just leave. They won't try to convince someone else. They won't, like I said, with their family, they're a little bit different and stubborn and maybe a little bit more set in their way, but when it comes to another personality that they're not quite sure, they won't even bother just even giving them a little bit or telling them a little bit. If they already sense that this other individual isn't going to understand them, they just leave. This hyena, I'm picking up that because you have the Knight of Cups, that is somebody who, if they felt very strongly about somebody, I think that would really, 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 really scare the hyena, because the hyena is not prone to feelings in such a way that they don't understand. So they're completely out of their element because they'll get blinded by, if they do have an opportunity to have feelings, that they would just get so blinded by it and would just kind of go in and maybe most likely make a fool out of themselves. And they know this for the more experienced hyenas, so they just kind of don't really know what to do with that. I think they've had hard lessons in love where they might have been the fool or played the fool, because they kind of just did have their heart on their sleeve, did enjoy feelings, and then were probably let down, and then they never really recovered from it. So now they just look at everyone with the hyena face, even if it is a feeling of love. They just look at that like it was the past situation, even though it could be someone completely new. They just have this not going to buy it type person, but yet they'll sit there and think about what's going on, but kind of more from a perspective of, let me see what I see first before I even allow myself to feel what it is that I feel. Very interesting, these two. Okay, so I hope that made sense to some of y'all. We'll pull some keywords for this individual or your person or yourself or the shadow aspect to just kind of maybe confirm or solidify that this is the individual that you're thinking it is. All right, so we got warrior, gangster, and sexy. So, I mean, I know the hyena probably doesn't think the hyena is sexy, but I think that a lot of people might find the hyena's rebellion side. I mean, there's gangster here, so rebellion side kind of sexy because they just kind of do what it is the fuck they want. Warrior kind of speaks to the same. So there is this warrior gangster type personality that's kind of rebelling and just kind of not giving a fuck. Sorry for my language, but that's kind of what the hyena is saying, like, don't give a fuck. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for the hyena. And thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate doing this reading. It's so cool. I'm very excited to see you guys again. And thank you. If you haven't subscribed, please do so or like this video. All right, talk to you soon.